So Adam told you his favourite games and then Laurie did, and while no one asked, I'm gonna tell you mine. Content synergy. Now before we get started, I do want to be honest that I'm relatively new to the tabletop scene. I've been playing Warhammer 40k since I hit an age of double digits, spent my teen years playing a buttload of Necromunda and Blood Bowl and plenty of rounds of zombies at university, but I didn't have a group of friends that made me explore my horizons. I basically played those games. It's only been in the last 5 or so years that I've spread my wings and tried new things. But thankfully, the board gaming community is one with open arms and doesn't have the same gatekeeper mentality that a lot of my other fandoms do. Cough metal music, cough comic books, cough wrestling, cough Star Wars, cough. Don't prove me wrong, comments. Point is, when it comes to board games, I'm a bit of a basic bitch. Never mind, this is a collection starter, and these are my 10 favourite board games. Please also subscribe to No Rolls Barred. Pretty please, thank you, love you, bye. Number 10, Disney Villainous. Told you I was a basic bitch.
You're basic.
Yeah, I noticed.
What do you mean? This is a list of best board games and your first entry is one based on Disney. Where's Catan? What about Jaipur? You may as well have put Monopoly on your list, you basic bitch. And you're probably right, but I think you're also wrong. Disney Villainous is f***ing wonderful. You take on a role of a classic Disney baddie like the Red Queen, Captain Hook or Ursula, and each has their own winning parameters. Jafar needs the lamp, Prince John must start a round with 10 power, Maleficent needs a curse on each of her locations. It means that everyone is playing to a different end goal. You complete those goals by moving the gorgeous playing pieces to different locations and doing the 4 actions available to you. That could be playing cards, collecting power, activating special abilities, but not every area has the same actions, so you have to plan your next set of moves accordingly. I've got 2 cards here that I need to play to advance my game, but I can only afford one of them, so I'll have to get more power, but it means I can only play 1 card now. Like chess, you've got to plan a few moves ahead, but unlike chess, you've also got to be reactionary because your opponents may be closer to their goal than you are. Instead, you have to go to a place where you can use the fate action to send a hero in to stop them, but then that also slows down the process of playing the cards I need to play. It's a brilliantly balanced and well-crafted game that has a lot of replay value. I've won as Jafar, but I've yet to win as Prince John, so that makes me want to play as him again. There's also expansion packs with other Disney characters, like this one that has Cruella de Vil, but more importantly Pete from Steamboat Willie, which is just delightful. Look, it's all in black and white. It's very lovely. The pieces are awesome, as is the artwork, which is often recreations of classic Disney artwork. It's just gorgeous, and best of all, works brilliantly as a 2-player game, so it's great for lockdown. Number 9, Ghost Castle. Right, now this may be one of the sillier entries on this list, as it's a game that's about 1,000 years old, and this is the busted up version I got for Christmas in the late 80s. Look at it, it was published the year I was born. But I got a lot of love for this very simple, very stupid game. You play as a group of scared kids, and the aim of the game is to roll dice and move around this spooky board, then get to the top of this scary tower. Sounds simple, right? Well, how about an axe in your mush, or some uneven ground, or being kicked in the face by a skeleton? If you land on one of these squares, you drop this glow-in-the-dark skull into the top of the tower, and it randomly selects a hazard that will either miss you or make a skeleton kick you in your stupid face. It's brilliant. This is on the list as it's legit one of my favourite games from my childhood. A game that I would take into school at the end of each year for Games Day. It's not a great collection starter because a full set can set you back about 100 notes, but there is an updated version of the game now, so yeah, go and get that one instead. Number 8, Six Nimmt. I love a good card game as much as the next person, and Six Nimmt is one of the best to get your hands on. It's a bastard of a game where everyone lays down cards and they get placed against one of the 4 rows based on how close they are sequentially. If the row reaches 6, you have to pick up that row and count the bullheads and remove that score from your starting total of 66. It's deceptively simple, brilliant if you get on a roll, and an utter prick if the cards don't fall in your favour. My family actually calls the game 6 Dammit because of how often you curse while playing it. During lockdown, we've been playing it on Board Game Arena, and it remains an Owen family favourite. Number 7, The Resistance. I'm also going to put Coup on this list because they're part of the same family, and I do love social deduction. In Adam's list, he mentioned that some people don't like social deduction games like The Resistance or One Night Ultimate Werewolf because they boil down to who can shout the loudest. Well, in my circle of friends, we like to shout loud, so I guess we're the worst. I know that for a fact too, as we once got told off in drafts in Hackney because Ollie Davis got out of hand and we all shouted a bit too much playing The Resistance. Really sorry if you were there on that Friday night, really sorry. You're either part of The Resistance or you're a spy. You get selected to go on missions where it's determined whether or not it succeeds or fails. If it fails a certain number of times, the spies win and the resistance dies. But if the resistance can work together to figure out who the spies are and not take them on missions, the good guys win. Yeah, it's a lot of shouting. Yeah, it's a lot of who of those shouting can shout the most, but I love that and my friends love it too. This is honestly one of my group of friends' favorite games to play on a Friday night after a few drinks. Probably less so now because they've got babies and babies aren't really fans of games like The Resistance, you know, because of the shouting. Number 6, Captain Sonar. In my Battleship video, I talked briefly about Captain Sonar and how brilliant it is, and yeah, it's totally brilliant. It's a 4-on-4 game where you take on the roles of submarines trying to blow up other submarines while listening to their movements and tracking them down. In your submarine, you have a captain, a navigator, someone to man the weapons, and someone monitoring the engine. Make a certain number of moves and you can get weapons and sonar, but make too many of them at once and you start to blow out the engine, all while tracking your opponent's moves via the navigator. It sounds simple, but here's the kicker. You don't take it in turns on Captain Sonar. You play simultaneously. What that means is that Captain Sonar is a messy game of teamwork, non-strategy strategy, and a need to pay attention and work together. I just love it. It's a brilliant balance of controlled chaos. At the 2019 Board Game Expo in Birmingham, a group of us spent the whole weekend there, which was a grand old time. I mean, if you've got the patience to wait around to get on tables and you've got a load of cash to spend on all the cool stuff. But while the event was fun, it was the hotel bar on the Saturday night that I remember the fondest, because it was essentially a mini convention of everyone playing their games. What followed was one of my favorite board game sessions of Captain Sonar ever. It was me, Laurie Blake, and Pete Quinnell versus my brother and our friends Matt and Tom, and it was absolutely brilliant. Our team was unstoppable and undefeated, and we played so many rounds. Seriously, my brother and I have been chasing that game playing high ever since. Number 5, Smash Up. Speaking of Laurie Blake, and he introduced me to Smash Up, and I absolutely love it. I actually dismissed it when it first came out, but I was wrong to do so because Smash Up is terrific. You create a team by picking 2 factions and smashing them together into one deck, with each faction having their own unique traits. Aliens are about swapping cards, ninjas sneak points when the bases are about to break, gnomes put spells on bases, wizards cycle through your deck. You play these cards onto bases in order to break them and score points. Some bases score higher than others, and some even score higher if you actually come in second, which adds an even bigger level of strategy. Each game feels different because you can always select new groups and team new factions together, and there's a bunch of expansion packs for it. It is a wildly fun game, and it's brilliant if you've got 3 or more players. It's actually a WrestleTalk office favorite to play down the pub. Every time I play a game of Smash Up, I find myself online looking at other expansion packs to buy. Oh, like Laurie Blake, I've got a problem. Please don't make me buy the expansion packs. Number 4, Betrayal at House on the Hill. This actually featured on Adam's list too, which makes me feel like I'm a proper gamer now, unlike that time I wrote about Ghost Castle earlier in this list, and he totally nailed about how atmospheric it can be. You take on the role of explorers, going through a house that you randomly generate, picking up items and seeing spooky stuff, waiting for the big haunt to happen that kicks off the second half of Betrayal. That haunt is generated by whatever item you find and whatever room it was in, which brings out this big tome of different storylines that range from aliens to dragons to mind-controlling eye monsters, or even the house actually being on the back of a giant eagle and you need to find parachutes to dive off safely. Each game is almost guaranteed to be different, and each one has their own flavor, and yeah, while some are better than others, I've never had a truly awful game of Betrayal. It's thematic, it's tense, and it's fantastic for a big group of players who want to get immersed in the scary surroundings. Number 3, Mysterium. It's like Cluedo, but good. In Mysterium, you take on the role of psychics who have come to a mansion to find out how a ghost was murdered by getting visions given to them by the ghost themselves. The ghost gives these visions via these cards with gorgeous artwork that could honestly be hung in a frame, and you can only give the visions you have in your hand, so you've got to think carefully about what you want the psychics to see. For example, I'm trying to point my wife towards these red balls here because I was killed by the old lady and her big ball of red yarn, but she's actually looking at the skull and thinking it's the hunter. And now Ross is getting involved and he thinks it could be the woods, so it could be the gardener. And now Eden thinks because of the sharp trees, it could be the syringe that the doctor has in his picture. No, Kate, look at the red balls! What I love about Mysterium isn't just the mechanics or how fun it is to play, but how fun it is to replay. Once a game is over, you can almost guarantee that someone will want to be the ghost next because they think they'll do better than the previous person. I've got an expansion pack that changes the murder weapon to a motive, which I absolutely adore, and I've been told that Mysterium Park fixes some of the clunkier setups of the original, which is high on my list of games to get in 2021. Number 2, Star Realms. Fun fact, I once competed in a Star Realms tournament at the 2018 UK Board Game Expo, and I came 10th. Out of 11. Still, I got this bonus card for getting 1 win, so go me! Star Realms is a deck building game for 2 players that sees you build your fleet by buying cards from the trade row and using those powers to destroy your opponent. Cards will either give you more trade to buy stuff, some health, or the ability to cause damage, and there are others that have special abilities like drawing and discarding cards, scrapping stuff in the trade row, so on and so forth. Each of the 4 factions, when played together, can also activate other abilities, and I just love it. I've played it a lot against my brother during lockdown because the app version of this is also superb, and it's free if you just want to play against the computer AI, which I do a lot to pass the time on boring commutes. It's simple, it's quick, it's very addictive, and unlike a lot of deck builders, you don't need to buy loads of add-on packs. It's just one tiny box, which is ever so handy. And number 1, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. For me, this is the ultimate party game. Basically, anytime my friends or family get together, someone gets accused of being a werewolf. No joke, I once took this on holiday to Antigua. My friends and I love it so much. You get given a role, be it part of the villager team or one of those pesky werewolves or one of their minions, and throughout the night, your roles basically mess with the game. Robbers steal cards, drunks swap cards from ones in the middle, troublemakers swap the cards with other players, and the villagers do nothing. Honestly, just take them out of the game. I'd recommend the Daybreak expansion pack because that adds a lot of fun roles to both teams. Honestly, I cannot get enough of all of this because I'm a basic bitch, remember. Every party or social gathering I've attended in the last 6 years, I'm guaranteed to get a text asking me to bring Werewolf. And that includes my mum, who might like it more than I do. It's actually become a Christmas tradition to shout at each other about who the werewolves are in Clan Owen. Yeah, I know that Blood on the Clock Tower is werewolf, but good, but I will never tire of playing this beauty. Bezier Games have tried to recapture the simple magic of werewolf with vampires and aliens, but it's never been as good as this original. My friend's WhatsApp text group is named after a phrase that gets uttered every single time we play it. That is bullshit. No, Katie, it's bullshit that you're the seer because we all know I'm the seer, but I'm not really. I'm actually the werewolf, lol. And that's my list. Please hit me up on Twitter or in the comments if you want to talk more about these games, because honestly, I could go on for ages. Click the video on screen for more collection starters and the other playlist to see my actually good video series. I've been Luke Owen. Please do consider subscribing to No Rolls Barred, and thanks for watching.